9-6 on this one.
Nice snap off the top. And right there you were thinking, there's another nice snap.
That he could do
it. He really stripped this wave well, after watching the replay. Both those first two turns were pretty vicious for the type of wave that was. And right here he's generating tons of speed. And right there I think he was thinking maybe aerial, maybe reverse.
And couldn't quite decide.
And looked like he was just kind of in the middle on his maneuvers, like he didn't quite do either one of them.
Yeah, he knew he needed to go big and just tried to push it as hard as possible. But at the end, kind of
with the look on his face, we'll have to wait and see what the judges reward that score. But
well, actually, the wave scores have come through. That was in the low sixes, not good enough to better his 6.83 or 6.87. Once again, needed a 7.96 on that one. So 0.4 of a point off of an excellent wave score, and probably needed a couple more solid maneuvers on that one and maybe an extra foot on that wave to hope for a 7.96. So we are into the next heat. Things have, well, we heard the horn anyways. Haven't seen the time start ticking down on our screen. We know Adriano DeSouza is out there in red, currently 22nd in the world. In yellow, Paulo Moura as well, currently sitting 36th. And Paulo very unlucky. If he'd come out a couple of barrels in his round one heat yesterday, he could be sitting in round three right now. And
well, he's got the young, former ASP Junior World Champion and rookie Adriano DeSouza, very vicious in these type of conditions.
Who won the WQS last year by the largest margin ever, with over 13,000 points to qualify for the CT.
I think he almost double qualified. Like he had so many points he could have almost hit it
twice. Exactly. No, that's exactly it, Dino. And while we're waiting for the first set of this next heat to swing through, we'll try and go to the internet. And we will pass along the fact to our technical team that all the replays are real dark. Let them know. And Luke from Australia wants to know if the judges judge on live sighting or do they look at the replays to evaluate the judging. Well, right now, the judging panel only judges off what they see in the water. Head judge Perry Hatchett, though, does take a look at the replays, and of course there's about a 30-second delay between the live action and what you're actually seeing on your screens back at home if you're watching us on Billabong.com or on ASPWorldTour.com. So the head judge can have a look, can give the boys a bit of an idea, like if they couldn't see if the guy pulled the last maneuver or not, he can intervene that way. But otherwise, right now, there is no video replay for the judges. It's all about the live action in the water, which can work in certain people's favor. I think the judging panel, I don't know if you've talked to them at all, Dino, but I think they'd like to have the replay to be able to have a look at, see what we're seeing on screen as well. What do you reckon? Should they have video replay or not?
It's definitely a good debate. I think that the judges are making the best calls they can, and a lot of times it's really tough. But I think that, if you had one camera on each surfer, that followed each surfer the whole entire heat, then I think it would be a little easier to determine some of the scores, because a lot of times things happen so fast and you can't, get your eyes on the, on it quickly enough.
Keep your eyes on the action all the time on every wave. Exactly. No, it would be great, and it is definitely one of the great debates going on behind the scenes at the Association of Surfing Professionals.
It's a great shot of the church there on the hill at Mundaka, and right to the left-hand side of the church, there's a crazy little half pipe there, and we were all skating it the other day, and this town's unbelievable. It's every day you find something new.
Were you out there with Luke Egan? Apparently, he's picked up the skateboard again now that he's no longer on tour.
No, I was out there with a friend of mine and Billabong staff photographer, Pat Stacy, and
all right,
he's like just a crazy skateboard lover, and he brought a skater, and we found it, and he had a smile ear to ear. It was crazy.
There you go. It's all about board riding with Billabong here at the Billabong Pro Mundaka. If there's no surf out in the lineup, can always go and have a skate. And, of course, we're just at the foot of the Pyrenees Mountains here in Mundaka. No snow up there yet, but later on in the year when things do get a little colder in this northeastern corner of Spain in the Spanish Basque Country, yeah, it actually does snow, and you can go hit it up, surf, skate, snow, all in one day if you want. Someone wants to know the color of Kelly's underwear. Well, we'll assume he's wearing tidy whities from Quicksilver.
That sounds like a personal question.
That's a very personal question. What are you guys talking about? Stokesy wants to know what kind of relationship the competitors have with the judges off the job. Well, they definitely say hi to each other and occasionally sit down to beers, but it is true. There's no tension between the guys, but they try not to socialize with each other too much. Here's Adriano DeSouza, finally back to some action in the water. Dino.
Look at this. Look at the young Brazilian go. Just the rookie just slamming the lip over and over again. Upside down, closeout re-entry there. And you can bet that the young Brazilian is going to try to put the stakes into Paulo Moura in this heat
as soon as possible. And we're going to go over to GT, and afterwards when we come back, we'll ask you to compare that style to Trent Monroe.
Hi there, I'm with Trent Monroe. Trent, bagged a couple sevens out there, and it's not easy, is it?
No, it's actually really slow out there at the moment. It's a bit hit and miss, so lucky I hit.
And, you know, even when you're on the waves themselves, it's really right now a wave of pace where you can't really commit too hard, it's going to blow past you, but you got to throw it up when you can.
Well, that's right. I mean, they are scoring the big turns, and it's so easy to get blown off the back out there. The wind's quite strong here, so, I mean, it's just put as much weight and power in it as you can.
Now, I mean, we are really in the business end of the tour, and you know, we were talking before, you know, you don't really have a result you're happy with. You know, you got to like getting through this one to kind of build some momentum your way.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've had quite a terrible year compared to last year, so, I mean, it's not over yet, and you know, the left suit me, so bring it on, let's go.
Good, well, that's the attitude to take. And Trent's taking it all the way into the next round, and we'll go back to you guys. Congratulations, Trent.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, thanks for that, GT. And it looks like Adriano's first score coming in at a 7.17 here. And out the back, he is paddling for another wave. Looks like Adriano DeSouza once again, a nice snap off the top. And looks like fellow Brazilian out the back, Paulo Moura paddling. Nice little snap reversal there for Paulo Moura as Adriano bounces his way into the inside section. And Paulo Moura, his wave looks a little bigger. It looks like it has a little bit more water going through the inside section.
And getting vertical on that last one, another roundhouse cut back there from Paulo Moura, speeding down the line, and that front side reverse there to finish it off for Paulo Moura. And hopefully one of our cameras grabbed the entire wave, because Paulo's first two turns out the back were absolutely smoking, Dino.
Yeah, that first carve, he like snapped and slid around backwards. Looking pretty futuristic there.
Yeah, very futuristic. So this is going to be a hot heat. Once again, Adriano DeSouza, in my eyes anyway, is one of the two best backsiders that we've seen out here all morning, or this early as we move into the early afternoon hours here at the Billabong Pro in Mundaka, up against a very talented frontsider, Paulo Moura. Paulo, one of the smoothest Brazilian surfers on tour, and Adriano definitely the most radical. So what do you reckon between DeSouza and Monroe as far as their backhand approaches to this long roping left-hander?
Well, very similar in these type of conditions. I mean, very low center of gravity, very pushy off the back foot, but light off the front foot. You know, speed and light off the front foot so they can maintain the momentum, but then stomping on their back foot to go
really
vertical.
Throw that spray, yeah. So very similar styles. And here's a replay of that wave of Paulo's from the takeoff, so you guys should be able to see his first two turns here. Check this stuff out.
How's the big snap, like slide?
The fake even grabs the rail on that one to keep his balance.
Straight into another bottom turn and another open face carve there. No delay on the bottom turn, as you can see. The connection in between the first snap and the second snap, no delay on the bottom turn. Another little flat snap there for his third turn as he races into the inside section. And you got to think the finish to this wave had a big part of the score as he comes around this nice little roundhouse there. Little bump off the foam, Dave.
Absolutely perfect so far. Not one false body movement from Paulo Moura, as we were saying, one of the most stylish Brazilian surfers on tour. Definite fluidity, mixing it up as far as maneuvers are concerned. And is this another angle, or is this just his last?
Well, there you go, as he bumps into this little inside section there. Nice little carve on the top.
Cut back, perfect. We're going to see this last frontside reverse re-entry or not.
You can see as he's kind of bouncing, keeping his momentum going forward, knowing this is the money turn right here, going into this closeout re-entry section there, and spinning the tail into reversal there.
Perfect, and you can see how he was keeping his speed up to go into that last maneuver. He knew he needed speed to be able to pull that thing off. A lot like Corey Lopez, almost getting 2 of his 3 fins out of the water with every pump down the line. And that last wave of Paulo Moura, good for an 8.0, do you know?
Well, there you go. And you got to think that last turn had a big,
Definitely had something to do with it. He had plenty of speed, saw that oncoming section coming at him, and threw down the innovative maneuver, the front side reverse kind of re-entry there at the end. And I think probably his first turn as well, I mean, just completely went around to fakie, grabbed the rail, kind of went backwards for a second or two, and then snapped it back around on his first turn on that wave. Put together a string of almost 10 maneuvers on that one, and no hopping, no.
Yeah, he was lucky to get that inside wedge too. I mean, it had a bit of water in there, whereas Adriano's wave before that went flat, and Paulo's wave kind of had that kind of wedge thing on the inside there to do that re-entry reversal there.
He definitely took advantage of that. A little bit easier, once again, to read this wave on your forehand than on your backhand. But still, Adriano DeSouza right now, he's got 2 wave scores on the board, so he is in the lead, a 7.17 and a 3.67. Second in yellow is Paulo Moura, his first wave score and only wave score, an 8.0. So just looking for a 2.84. And there is our matchup. Adriano DeSouza, 22nd in the world in his rookie season in the red singlet, and Paulo Moura was 22nd in the world at the end of the year last year, I believe, in the yellow, looking to re-qualify, trying to scratch his way back up into the top 27 on the WCT, because he has absolutely no results on the QS, currently sitting 36th in the world. So still a bit of work to do for Paulo, and a very key heat in his re-qualification campaign for the Foster's ASP Men's WCT.
Well, with 17 minutes remaining in this heat, Adriano is in the lead, with Paulo Moura only needing a 2.84. Either one of them really having a second score. Adriano with a 7.17 and Paulo Moura with an 8.0. And as we move into the second half of this heat, I think it's going to matter who gets the better second score, who could have a chance to win this heat.
Well, of course, Dino, all the surfers, scored the final result on their top 2 wave scores. They can take a maximum of 15 waves. Don't think we're going to see anyone coming close to their maximum amount of waves out there today, unless they're doing a lot of falling off, because things are getting less and less consistent as time goes on. Heard some rumblings from in the background that this could be possibly the last heat of the day. And from what we've seen so far, at least from a wave quality and consistency standpoint, that might not be a bad decision. Certainly don't want to leave anyone out in the water in the middle of the flat for their heat. Don't want to burn anyone if possible.
Absolutely, and this is heat 14, so we did get quite a bit of heats off in round number 2.
Started out with heat number 8 through to heat 14, so this is our 6th, 7th heat of the day. And out at Mundaka, that's a good result. If you can get any more than 2 or 3 heats out of the way per day here, that's a great result. Yesterday was actually a banner day. We got 15, surfed our way through 15 heats, which was almost a record out here. The most they've ever done at the Billabong Pro Mundaka is 20 heats during the day. And the surfers doing their best. The judges really having to stay concentrated. It's a very tricky wave and makes scoring a little bit difficult sometimes. And plenty of questions coming in about the judges and the scoring at this event. Grant wants to know how many judges are involved. You want to give the answer on that one, or should I just go through my little ASP spiel? Okay, there we go. 1 head judge, 7 judges total, 5 judging at once. the highest and lowest wave score are dropped, and the score that comes up on the board is the average of the 3 mid-wave scores from the panel. Wayne wants to know why the judging is so different on the CT to the QS. It's not that different. The criteria are exactly the same. It's just that you do have 4 guys out in the water for the vast majority of the WQS heats until you get into the round of 16 and quarters, semis, and finals, where now trying to teach the guys how to emulate the CT format on the QS. But for the vast majority, 4-man heats, so it does make a little bit harder to judge as there's more action going on in the water. And a personal question from Charlie from Melbourne Beach, Florida: is Klugel a judge at this event? No, the Klugs is back in the States, taking care of ASP North America. Our head judge, Jeff Klugel, is not over for this one. I think our American judge on the panel for this one is Dave Shipley out of Hawaii.
Well, like you were saying, there's plenty of pressure on the judges. There's plenty of pressure on the competitors in this heat, as the tide's filling in quickly with only 13 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. It is getting down to the wire here, and each of these surfers with 1 solid score. And you got to think that with the tide coming in so fast, the pressure is on the person to get the second score in this heat, because there might only be 1 chance or maybe 2 chances to get another wave in this heat before the tide completely fills in.
Well, we're already seeing the guys have moved halfway back down the sandbar and are even inside a little bit off the bank, trying to take advantage of whatever comes through. There's still lines out there, Dino, but yeah, the tide's coming up quick.
Looks like a set out the back possibly, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Adriano DeSouza with priority in red, and Paulo Moura on the shoulder with second priority. And we'll have to wait and see, but this could be an opportunity for another surfer to get a score here, Dave.
Yes, it could. It looks like this set's going to break at least. Adriano out the back in position. Paulo sitting inside. So this is where tactics and priority comes into play.
A very savvy young surfer, Adriano DeSouza. It looks like he does have a priority, and he is electing to go on this wave, Dave.
Off the lip snap to start it off for Adriano there.
Big snap. That first turn just completely redirecting into the lip as he gets into the inside section. Another big vertical off the top. Man, he picked a really good wave, Dave, as he's bouncing his way into the inside section for a closer move. And looks like he's going to go right and another little
direction
snap
there. Yep. He's gonna milk this for as much as he can, because there are very few waves coming through. Meanwhile, out the back, Paulo Moura got 2 big frontside snaps, has done the exact same re-entry as Adriano, but Mineirinho just continuing all the way down the bank here, which is really what you got to do. I mean, length of ride doesn't count, but with these the big tidal swings and the incoming tide right now, you really want to take advantage of every last inch of wave out there, Dino, and that's exactly what Adriano did. So Paulo is going to paddle out the back. He did get 2 solid turns. Here's the replay of Paulo's wave that we missed while we were watching Adriano. So why don't you talk us through this one, Dino?
That was a nice little snap, kind of flat on the face, but nonetheless a nice little spray there. Wave not really enough bowl to completely use his rail, but nonetheless nice snap as he's rocking his board back and forth down the line. And the second turn here, another little snap. Kind of that one he did use his rail a bit more, and his tail did release, throwing a nice amount of spray. And that one, another little snap. Not really too critical, but nonetheless nice turns for the youngster from Brazil,
For
Paulo
sure.
Moura.
Well, actually, as the tide comes up, the wave does fatten out a bit here, but Paulo really giving it his all. Probably a little bit surprised that he managed to already get 4 moves in on this one, and this is his last one as he bounces it off that oncoming foam ball. And one last little whack off the whitewash, as Peter Townend would say. And scores coming in now, and fairly similar, because I think the judges, they really like the speed and power from Paulo Moura on his forehand.
Watch his first turn. Big snap with a complete release on that first turn there. He just
kind of bogged his second turn, but
Man,
it could have been a critical mistake, but he still managed to flow through to this next section.
Well, I think what happened was on that wave is he did that first turn so critically and all the way around that there wasn't really much room to do a second turn, but somehow he got one in there. And as you can see, this one he goes kind of upside down in the pocket. Man, the kid, he really put together a really good string of maneuvers on this wave. And they're on the open face, nice little snap, throwing tons of spray and keeping his momentum and speed as he moves his front foot there up on the board. You can see his front foot up farther, rocking it back and forth to keep that forward momentum going.
And already looking down the line at the oncoming section.
Yeah, he really nice open face snap on the reform on the right there for the youngster from Brazil.
Yeah, see how many little snaps there. He's on his third snap on the reform. 5.0 for this wave of Adriano. No, a 6.0 for this wave of Adriano, a 5.0 for that last wave of Paulo Moura. So only a 1-point difference in the judges' eyes, Dino, which is probably due to the power moves from Paulo out the back.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that Adriano got the better of those two scores because of his first turn. I mean, his first turn, he went up into the lip and just completely snapped it and reversed, like his tail whipped around and redirected it into the pocket. And threw tons of spray, whereas Paulo's first turn was a little bit on the open face and kind of flat. Now, I could be mistaken, but...
No, I think you're absolutely right. Let's see. Paulo looking for a 5.17. Can he get it on this one?
Looks like he caught a little bit of an edge on there and another nice little snap for Paulo, but Paulo opting to kick out of that one. Paulo does need a 5.17 to overtake the lead from Adriano DeSouza with 8 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. Time is ticking down, Dave, for Paulo Moura.
Well, Paulo right now racing against the clock and racing against the incoming tide. I guess he knows that he got a 5.0 on his second to last wave for 4 big forehand maneuvers. Once again, a little bit flatter turns than Adriano's out on the open face, but nonetheless, he knows he's going to have to string together at least 5 or 6 big turns to have any chance to score in the 5.17 range and to make a comeback on Adriano on this one. 7 minutes and 45 seconds remaining, so still plenty of time, but lots of work to do for Paulo Moura.
Well, you got to think that by Paulo Moura going on that last wave, he's got to be kicking himself right now because he would have had priority.
He's left priority to Adriano, and both of them caught behind the section on this next set. And it looks like a very flat ocean waiting for them out the back now. So those lulls becoming more and more consistent as the sets become rarer and rarer out here in this early afternoon at Mundaka. 2.5 for that last wave of Paulo Moura.
Well, to all you spectators online, we would like to welcome you to the 2006 Billabong Mundaka Pro. And we are in the later minutes of heat number 14. And we have Adriano DeSouza leading the heat against Paulo Moura. And Paulo Moura needing a 5.17 with only 6 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. And it is a beautiful day here. The tide has filled in a bit, and we'll have to wait and see whether or not they're going to push the next 2 heats through or not. But at the moment, it's looking pretty tight on conditions.
Yeah,
Dave.
I think this is going to be the last heat of the day. I mean, we've seen the swell completely disappear. Already it was more and more inconsistent towards the end of the last heat, and already could have been pushing things by sending these guys out here. Still, some good and even an excellent wave score on the board for the 2 Brazilians. An 8.0 for Paulo Moura, the highest wave score of the heat so far. 2 good wave scores, a 7.17 and a 6.0 for Adriano DeSouza. So some waves have come through in this set, but something tells me this could be the last one of the day.
Well, look at the positioning in the heat. It looks like Adriano is on the shoulder with priority, and Paulo Moura deeper. So, if a set comes in, Paulo Moura will probably paddle for it, and Adriano will just take it from him. There's not much time remaining, and prior to that last wave, Paulo Moura had priority and chose to go on that semi-average wave that wasn't enough to get him the score he needed, and leaving the door wide open for Adriano to maintain the lead and with priority in the final minutes of this heat.
So Adriano learning from his elder Brazilian's mistakes and sitting out the back with priority, and he's just going to wait for any set to come in. Looks like there's some little lines out there, but with this incoming tide, probably not going to amount to much. So, Dino, if we've got any messages or any questions coming in, I guess now would be the time to answer. And plenty of support coming in for Adriano DeSouza, and lots of people saying they're surprised at how well these guys can surf in what are becoming rather mediocre conditions.
Well, Adriano DeSouza is no stranger to a heat, and especially in these kind of conditions. I mean, the kid's just a vicious competitor. I mean, he is not afraid of anybody or anything. I mean, he was 15 years old, and he paddled out of Waimea Bay and got closed out by a 30-foot set. And then he wins a QS by a landslide of points last year to take the crown.
Over 13,000 points on the WQS last year. Over
so I think
3,000 points between him and the next highest point getter.
So I think that there's a lot to be proud of for this young Brazilian, Adriano Souza. I mean, the kid's relentless, and he really is very passionate about the sport of surfing, and he lives it and breathes it. Along with Paulo Moura.
Absolutely loves it. Now, that's very true. And Adriano DeSouza having just a banner year in his first year on tour, sitting in 22nd in the 22nd spot on the WCT rankings. He's completely surpassed all of the Brazilian stars that he's grown up watching and has tried to emulate throughout the years. Guys like Paulo Moura in this heat, Marcelo Nunes, Pedersen Rosa, and company. Saw Rayoni Montero in his first couple seasons on tour put in some great results and said, well, if these guys can do it, so can I. And he's really picked up the Brazilian flag. He's flying it high and waving it as hard as possible on the WCT this year. He will, unless he has an absolutely shocking result through the last couple contests of the year, which I highly doubt, seeing as we're going to Brazil and then to Hawaii. I think Adriano will be with us next year.
This is a really interesting heat here in the final moments. You can look at two close friends in the heat, and Paulo Moura needing a result to requalify in the WCT Tour, and Adriano, he don't care. He wants a result too.
Yeah, exactly.
They're both sitting out there, and Adriano's going, dude, I don't care, man. I'm sitting by
the breeze. Exactly. He's going, sorry, buddy. Paulo, you're one of my heroes, but at the same time, maybe it's time for a changing of the guard, Brazilian style. And there it is. Once again, Paulo Moura was the highest-ranked Brazilian on tour last year and is now facing not disqualification, but
that's a great shot of you could see the
frustration on Paulo's face.
You can see the commitment, even from the back of those two competitors. You can see that they're definitely serious. As we,
no love lost. Hey, even with the best of friends, as Mick Fanning and Joel Parkinson in the final of the last contest said they were joking all the way down to the water's edge as soon as they paddled out for 30 minutes.
Well, here we go. It looks like we might have an opportunity out the back here for someone to make a difference in this heat. And you got to remember the surfer in yellow only needing a 5.17, but the surfer in red holding down priority in the current heat leader. Looks like there's two waves out the back, Dave.
There are, and Paulo's going to let Adriano let Paulo go on this first one.
Look at this savvy competitor. I mean, look at the kid. I mean, he knew that wave wasn't a 5.17, and there he is on another bomb out the back. Big snap. Meanwhile, Paulo's trying to milk it up for all it's worth on the inside. Man.
Meanwhile, Adriano just going out the back.
I mean, you'd think he's 40 years old and been in 200 WCT events, but nonetheless, it is his rookie year, and wow.
Jeez, I'd love to be as flexible as that when I'm 40 years old, Dino. Kid just pretzel-backed on that one. 3 huge bashes out the back. Very possibly could better his 6.0. Once again, Paulo is looking for a 5.17 on that one. Not a chance that he's going to get that kind of score. 40 seconds remaining, so this one looks to be over. And Dino, by the fact that Victor Ribas and Darren O'Rafferty are not out in the lineup waiting for the start of the next heat. I think that means that this could be it for the day, folks. Here's a little replay there. Paulo knew he had to do something big on this one. First frontside snap and
little flat snap on the face there, not really getting much lip at all.
none whatsoever. The wave's hardly breaking.
If Adriano would have went on that wave and Paulo would have been on the one out the back, it might have been a different story here. That wave was no way enough to get him the heat.
No, and Paulo still managed